Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. The recent terror attacks in London have raised an everlasting debate. Should the terrorists be held in custody forever till they die? Or should they be released? Most of the Western countries, and that trend has percolated to the other so-called democracies like India, the terrorists are treated with kid gloves. Just see Mr. Osman Khan, the new terrorist who was killed in the London terror attack after killing two people, was released. Here in Canada, there was a guy who killed people in Eaton Center and he is likely to be released on parole in 2021. Omar Khadr was released on parole, though he had killed 3 American soldiers. And not only was he released, he was given $10 million as a reward for being punished. Can anything be more ridiculous? Neil Basu, the police counter-terrorism chief in England, says that he was attending a program to educate prisoners when he launched the Friday terror attack. So what sort of re-education we are doing it? Compared to that, when I look at what communist countries do, and I'm no fan of the communist countries, but what they do is at least protect their people. I fully agree that they cross all boundaries. We have seen that in India as well. Kasab, he was the terrorist, and it took more than 4 years to hang him. Even India released terrorists. Famous Azhar, who is now becoming a headache, was released by the BJP government because the Chief Minister of Kashmir, at that time Home Minister of India, his daughter Rubia had been kidnapped, and as a counter offer that released. On the other side, look at the Israelis. Their one airplane was hijacked. Not only they went into another country without permission, rescued all the captive hostages, but also killed all the terrorists. Just now, as I was speaking, Anju Dugul Sikha writes, protecting people should be the only priority of the government. You're exactly right, Anju. If a government cannot protect its people, it's worth not being there. And when the former head of the British National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, Chris Phillips, says that's wrong to ask the police and security services to keep the country safe while you are letting the people out of prison when they're still a threat. And I'm quite impressed by what he says. Chris Phillips says that we are playing Russian roulette with the people's life, letting convicted, known, radicalized jihadi terrorists walk into our streets. But the same thing happened in Toronto. 2 persons were allowed to walk on the streets. As a matter of fact, I agree with Boris Johnson when he says it's a mistake to allow serious and violent criminals to come out of the prisons. But then why is not happening? Even in Guantanamo Bay, the hardened terrorists were released by Obama, and within 6 weeks they were back in action. Let's be very clear. As Anju says, that the priority of the people is of the government is to protect people. This priority can come in force only when the government realize that mollycoddling hardened criminal minds is no way. What we say is re-educate, reform, that is just a mask. And those people look to be very penitent, very repentant. But the purpose is to show that they are being reformed so that they can go back to their task of killing people and killing innocent people. As a matter of fact, if you remember, when Bombay attacks took place, I told Manmohan Singh, then the Prime Minister, I said, look here, do not go the civilian way, a court to try, then the sessions to confirm it, then the High Court to do it, and then the Supreme Court to do it, and then he has a power, permission to apply for mercy. But he said, no, there's a rule of law. He said, no. When a terrorist kills people, and we have to engage our armed forces, our paramilitary forces like CRPF, our ITP, then it's a war against the state. And war against the state is a crime which should be tried under court martial. The Indian Military Act permits that to happen, and the military court will take only half an afternoon to come to a decision. Agreed, that decision can be challenged but cannot be appealed. It can be challenged only in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court can take that action next morning, and the person can be hanged or shot dead like a mad dog by the next evening. Why wait for 5 to 6 years? Keep them safe, spend millions of dollars keeping them safe, and give them luxurious life, all the facilities they can never enjoy as terrorists, they enjoy while they are prisoners. Because then human rights organizations come into picture and they say, okay, he has done something wrong, but he is a human being. As if the people who have suffered at his hands, they are not human beings. Coming back to London terror attack, Usman had been convicted as a part of a group that was plotting to target major sites including Parliament, US Embassy, and individuals including Premier and the Mayor and the Dean of St. Cathedral. And he admitted to this charge, and Jackie was released. We remember here in Canada, a person was arrested. He was saying that he'll behead Prime Minister Harper. And not only that, he will bomb CN Towers, he'll bomb the Parliament, and later on he was released. And all these terrorists in London, at least, they are the followers of radical preacher Anjum Chaudhry. And a mobile phone was seized. It shows that the band group that Chaudhry headed was responsible for all that. And imagine it, Chaudhry himself is out of jail. He's under surveillance, he's under curfew, but he is not behind bars. And keeping them behind bars is a negation of justice. Drastic diseases need drastic remedies. And the parole is not meant for criminals like that who have killed people indiscriminately, mercilessly, and with an intent to harm the country, harm the civilization, harm humanity. As a matter of fact, if at Nuremberg we could hang people for crimes against humanity, war crimes, why can't these terrorists be treated unlike the Nazis and the fascists were treated? Let the special courts be set up in each country and let them be tried on a day-to-day basis. And the court be given a directive that the decision must be given in 3 days. It's not every day that such cases come up. And the punishment should be mandatory. Death. Death by hanging or by shooting. And then there should be no burial for them. They should be buried the way Osama bin Laden had been buried. No graves except the graves of the ocean, the watery grave. Or let them be cremated and their ashes not given but spread in the ocean. So that the people, their followers, their proteges, or their masters do not have something symbolic to celebrate. And the people who try to celebrate these criminals should be held equally responsible. When JNU students in India raise the slogan that they are ashamed that the killers of Afzal Khan, who was hanged, are still alive, they were in fact declaring the High Courts, the Supreme Court, and the President, who had rejected the mercy petition, to be the killers. What a travesty. So we have got to ensure that the killers are treated as killers, not as psychiatric patients. They are not suffering from a psychiatric problem, but they have been hardened, conditioned into being killers, and they are waging wars, not against individual, but against the society, against the humanity, against the country. And for such crimes, there can be no mercy. You might think that I'm being too harsh. But let me tell you very frankly that until and unless you are harsh, until and unless the punishment you give has a deterrent effect, the retributive punishment in such cases is self-depreciating. The punishment has to be such that another terrorist would think twice before taking up the guns. I know the apologists for the human rights would say, well, they have been impassioned and they'll do it. Well, if they have been impassioned and they have been motivated to kill people, then they should be killed. Simple. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth is a biblical order. And why should we go against what Bible has ordained or what human beings feel that the punishment must be equal, if not more, than the crime committed. Now, if they killed 2 people or 3 people, they can't be killed twice. But at least they can be killed so that they don't kill other people. It may not have an effect on the other terrorists, but it would have an effect on the people who tend to become terrorists. While the brains are being washed in that process, during that process, when they hear the news that one of their earlier colleagues has met justice, then they'll at least think twice. It may not absolutely stop them, but it will slow the pace of terrorist activities. And holding them? No, I don't believe in holding them because it causes undue burden on the society and there's a danger of their escaping. And why should a taxpayer pay to hold in prison a person who has committed a crime against the country and against humanity? No justice can be complete until it satisfies the feelings of the people who are grieved. No closure can be there, and closure only comes when the people who have committed such crimes, dastardly crimes, inhuman crimes, are given their deserts. The desert would be He who takes by sword shall perish by sword. There should be instant mechanism. The special courts, the moment they are arrested, they beat them, declare them guilty if they are guilty, and without any delay, action should be taken, and that would enable people to heave a sigh of relief and also feel that evil has got what it deserves. Think about it. Thank you.